Greetings and salutations everyone out there on YouTube. This is Christopher McKee with Alamo Music Center in San Antonio, Texas. You can find us online at alamomusic.com. And today we're here to answer your burning questions. What is the best classical guitar for me, the beginner? And I want to clarify, I said classical guitar. I am afraid that you heard nylon string guitar. And sometimes it's the same thing, but not always. Today we're looking specifically at classical guitars. There's no crossovers in this mix. These are true classical guitars with the gear toward the beginner. So if you have dreamt of playing wonderful classical music like Andres Segovia or fast flamenco like Paco de Lucia or flamenco like modern player Ben Woods, then this is usually where you start. So in the classical guitar realm, there's two big players that we're going to focus on, particularly when it deals with a student or beginner guitar, and that is Yamaha and Cordoba. We're doing that for a primary reason. They make fantastic guitars at a great value, and they know how because they've been doing it for a while, and they know how to make very fantastic, very expensive classical guitars. Both companies, Yamaha and Cordoba, make classical guitars available in upwards of $2,000 to $3,000 to $4,000 to $5,000, and really know what they're talking about. They've done the research, they have the expertise. So when they bring a product down to a budget price, an economical price, they bring that expertise with them and manufacturing know-how in order to create a guitar that's affordable but also sounds good, plays well, and is well made. All of these guitars are imports, so that should be stated right off the top. They're all made overseas. They're imported into the United States. It's the only way to get them in this price point with that manufacturing ability. And they all retail from between about $140 up to about $300 at the high end. So for not very much money, you can get a really good, decent quality classical guitar to learn your craft on. Now, what we're going to start with are two guitars from Yamaha. And if you watched any of our videos, you know we're a big fan of Yamaha guitars. They've been making guitars for many years. They really know how to build a good quality musical instrument. The first guitar is what I have here in my lap, and that is Yamaha's C40II. Now the C40 has been around for a long time, and this guitar is typically seen in stores as part of a package. And packages are really a good value. On a package, you get the guitar, you also get a gig bag, you get a DVD with lessons, you get a digital tuner, you get a few things that you need to get started with for around $140 to $150. So if you want to kind of get the best bang for the buck, then the value is seen right here at the get-go with Yamaha's C40 guitar. Now the C40 features about a 2-inch, 2.05-inch nut width. It's a plastic nut. The body construction is all laminate. Yamaha says the back and sides are Merino wood with a spruce top. I'm not sure what Merino is. It's probably a name they've coined for the type of wood that they're using for this particular guitar. I'll let you in on a little secret. It doesn't really matter much. It's a good looking wood. It looks similar to mahogany. It's got a nice color to it, and it's actual laminate. It's layered wood. It's not Formica or anything like that. The top is spruce, but it's laminate. It's layered spruce, and they've toned it on this to give it a reddish hue and make it look like cedar, which is what most classical guitars are topped with to give it a warm sound. The all laminate construction allows Yamaha to do this at a budget price. It also makes it pretty resilient to temperature and humidity changes, and to just kind of being banged around by a beginner, if you know what I mean. The scale length is going to be pretty much the same on all these, about 25.5-inch scale, which is standard, and a 12-fret neck to body joint, which is also standard on a classical guitar. Slotted headstock, nylon strings. All of these guitars are using Savarez strings, various ones, all made by Savarez over in France. And so you get a lot of guitar for your money. Fan bracing is going to be typical on all of these that we're looking at as well. What these are, basically, if you're used to a steel string guitar, is lightly constructed. There's not a whole lot of tension on the top from nylon strings. So the idea here is to make a good, well-playing guitar that resonates freely and allows you to have that wonderful Spanish nylon string classical tone. So let's check out the C40, and then we'll compare it to one of its brothers in the lineup. So the next guitar in Yamaha's lineup is the CGS104A2. Now, you might have noticed it says C40II, CGS104A2. These are variations on models that Yamaha has had in their lineup for quite a while. Now, both of the C40 and CGS104A2 are very, very similar. In fact, they're almost identical guitars, both in price and construction. The key difference is that you don't see the CGS104A2 really in a package, and it has a slightly wider nut on it than the C40 does. Another distinction that I found just in kind of comparing them is that there's a little bit more fit and finish on the CGS104A2 than there is on the C40. So same manufacturer and really same price points, but not. Because again, the C40 comes in a package for about the same price that the CGS104A2 comes on its own. And so it's technically kind of a little bit more expensive guitar because you don't get the accessories with it. And so the fitting of the nut, the intonation on the guitar, just a tiny hair better than the C40 that we just looked at. Again, it's a slightly wider nut, so if you've got big hands, then this is going to offer you a little bit more space. So this from Cordoba is part of their Protege series. This is the C1. Now this is the full-size model, but what's great about this particular series of guitar is you get a fantastically made guitar with a gloss finish from Cordoba along with a gig bag, and it's available in different sizes: quarter, half, three-quarter, and full-size guitars. This is particularly an ideal guitar if you have a young child who's going to be taking guitar lessons maybe during the summer or during school. Again, mark my words, if you have a young child who needs smaller than full-size guitar, you want to seriously look at the Cordoba Protege. You won't find a better entry-level guitar available in different sizes than this. Now, there's some key distinctions that are beneficial from Cordoba. Namely, it has a truss rod in the neck. Now that is unusual on a classical guitar, but very typical on a steel string guitar. A truss rod, if you don't know, is basically a rod that's threaded with a nut on the end of it that goes the length of the neck and allows you to adjust the amount of bow or relief that's in the neck to counteract the tension from the strings. So strings are pulling this way, the truss rod allows you to adjust the neck back down. Most classical guitars do not have a truss rod, which means whatever the action on it is, and the action is the distance from the string to the fretboard, whatever that is what it is. You can make some adjustments at the saddle or at the nut, and that's about it. You can't change the bow or relief in the neck. Cordoba wisely added this to their guitars. Now, it's not traditional, and some traditionalists don't like it. I think it's a great addition, particularly if you're starting out, because you are able to lower that action and make it a little bit more comfortable for you. Because let's face it, on a classical guitar, here's what you're dealing with. It's a flat radius fingerboard. It's a wider nut. So it's a wider neck. It's a little bit more to get your hands around and a little bit more difficult to make chords on. But if you can learn on a classical guitar, you can just about play anything from then on. Now, in addition to being able to lower the action on this, the Cordoba has a thinner neck, thinner this way, than the Yamahas do. So it's a little bit more comfortable there. Again, this is a full size because I'm a full size kind of guy, but this is available in half, three-quarter, and quarter sizes as well, and it comes with a nice Cordoba padded gig bag. So it's great guitar for the money. The normal price on this is about $170 roughly. Now you can check online at alamomusic.com for the latest pricing in case there's changes, but you can see for just a little bit more money, you get a nice guitar. It's got a gloss finish on it, and it's got a wonderful overall look to it. Again, it's all laminate construction. The back and sides are wonderful mahogany. They're laminate. The top is spruce, again, that's laminate, with a sapele neck on it, and rosewood fingerboard bridge, plastic nut, and gold tuners. It's got a really nice look to it, and if you show up to your first class with this, you'll probably have one of the nicest guitars in the class. Okay, so now we're moving back to Yamaha on the list. Now this is actually one of my favorites for an entry-level guitar, particularly from Yamaha. It's the CG122MCH. Now the reason I like this is because we're now moving into a price point where you get into a guitar with a solid wood top. Now we've talked about this in some of our reviews of entry-level steel string guitars. If you can, you want to spend the money to get a solid top guitar, because most of the sound on an acoustic guitar comes from the top. The back and sides, when they're solid, kind of EQ the guitar, color the tone for you. But the primary characteristics of sustain, of the response, and of the general tone of the guitar comes from the top of the guitar. When you have an all-laminate construction guitar like we just looked at with our previous three, it's going to be very robust, very strong, and good to kind of go to the beach with. It's not going to move around a whole lot because it's laminate, kind of like a plywood. Now, because it's stiff and robust, it also doesn't resonate as much. So when you move to a solid top guitar, that piece of wood's going to move more under the tension and vibration of the strings, basically granting you better tone and volume out of the guitar. It will also age over the life of the guitar, meaning it will lighten and give you better tone over the lifetime of the instrument. So all around, it's better. This guitar, the CG122MCH, comes in at about $120. Roughly. Again, go to alamomusic.com to see the exact pricing on this guitar and availability of what we have in stock. Now, the construction is, again, very similar as most classical guitars are. The attention to detail is what makes it different. One of the reasons that this guitar is resonant is because of the solid top. It's a solid cedar top in this case with laminate NATO back and sides and a NATO neck. The scale is the same, the fingerboard is the same, it's flat, it's about a 2-inch width nut. It's very similar to what we've looked at. But the lightness of construction in the bracing, in the solid top, but also in the finish adds to the resonance of this guitar. This is a satin finish. Now, a lot of people associate a satin finish with an inexpensive guitar. That's really not always the case. Because with finish, what you are trying to do is get the thinnest finish possible on the guitar that will also protect the instrument. If you put too thick of a finish, it kind of acts like a blanket, covering the guitar and preventing it from vibrating freely like it wants to. So on a satin kind of open pore finish like this has, it's going to be a little bit more susceptible to dirt and grime. So you want to make sure that you clean the guitar after use. The wood is finished and is protected, but you want to wipe it down with like a damp cloth to ensure that it stays beautiful without getting a shiny luster to it from rubbing on it different spots of your arm and whatnot. But by having this thinner finish, it is more resonant. This guitar has a very robust, very full, rich, low-end dominant tone. And so it's fantastic for individual notes as well as long sustained chords. And at $220, it's a fantastic entry-level classical guitar. All right, the last guitar on our list is from Cordoba. This is the Cordoba C5. Now, this Cordoba, the C5, is the entry level into Cordoba's Iberia series, which are Chinese-made guitars with solid tops. From the C7 up, they come with a gig bag. They are fantastically made. They're all gloss finish. They all feature solid top. You can get it in either spruce or cedar on some of the models. And the C5, again, represents the entry into this line of guitars. I own several Iberia series guitars. They're fantastically made guitars. Now, like the other Cordoba we looked at, it features a truss rod, which allows you to adjust the action. So that's a fantastic benefit. It features a solid cedar top along with laminate back and sides of mahogany and a gloss finish. Wonderful tuners, the nicest ones so far of any of the guitars we've looked at. And this guitar is available in some variations. So this is the normal C5. Cordoba also makes a left-handed version of this. So if you want to get into a good quality entry-level guitar, but you're a lefty, you're a southpaw, well, you can get one of those without having to do a conversion and all of this other stuff on a classical guitar. They also make this guitar as a cutaway electric model in either the normal classical depth or in a thinner depth called the thin line model. So it's got the wonderful looks of a classical guitar, and it's got a great tone. A little bit brighter, but with that nice mellow fullness that you'd expect from a cedar-topped classical guitar. So that's our rundown of the top 5 classical guitars if you are starting out. Now, either of these manufacturers, again, make fantastic guitars as you go up in price. And, you know, when you get expensive enough, there's individual luthiers, all sorts of options that are out there in addition to vintage guitars. But when you are starting, you want something that's going to play well, sound good, and give you the best value. And we feel that these 5 guitars represent that. So from about $140 up to about $300, you have some options to fit any budget and to give you the features that you need in order to be successful in your venture to be the next great classical guitar player. So if you have any questions about these guitars or other ones, comment below this video or give us a call, go on our website, or come in the store. We want to help you find the perfect guitar to suit your needs. If you're a school and you want to put together a class or anything like that, we're here to help you with that as well. As always, I want to thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed it, and don't forget to subscribe so that you get notified whenever we do a new video. Thanks.